Okay, guys, we are good to go. Evil Geniuses and Murlocs Inc. is going to be your next match here for the Go4Heroes Americas Cup number 11. Mr. Seth Lynch, the Shane Gutcher, the pun master today.
What's my real name? I don't know. Is it Shane? Is it
You know,
Seth? Is it Sean? Is it Chef? That's to be found out. Maybe I'm Chef's little brother. What Seth and Shane put together, it's Chef.
Mind blown. I almost feel you practiced that in the mirror. Either way,
it just comes to me, man.
Bam, exactly. We're gonna be getting into this draft. Oh, it's actually gonna be Murlocs with the first. That's the first.
Okay.
Today. Either way, Dragonshire finally something not Cursed Hollow, but semifinals is still best of one, Mr. Gutcher. So you got to be putting that best foot forward. We're gonna have to see what can EG do up against the Murlocs. Both teams are in the majors. So congratulations to them. I don't think they've played each other forever, though. At least in a professional stance. Probably screens. But
I haven't seen these teams play against each other in quite some time. So I mentioned earlier in the cast, I think we're going to see Diablo play. And I think if we are going to see Diablo, it's going to be in this match right here. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but if we are going to see a Diablo, it'll probably be in this match. We will see. There's the Stitches. I don't think we're going to see Diablo. Moving on. The bans, though, Evil Genius is banning out the Rhaegar, and Murlocs Inc. banning out the Nazebo Witch Doctor, the Uther, and Uther first pick. Look at that. Uther first pick, followed up by Evil Geniuses with their first round picks, picked up the Stitches, and got their hands on Malfurion. Rip Brightwing. We've only seen her once today.
And there's a Rhaegar ban on the table. Yeah, just like we haven't seen a Malfurion even all day. But Uther's the first pick here. I guess that we do have a few things known between the teams. I mean, we just saw some really interesting Illidan support play. And Uther's very critical to that. Rhaegar's very critical in this meta. But the Nazebo ban also means that Evil Geniuses, I mean, they get the first pick here on Dragonshire with the Stitches. Stitches is a great agitator for the mid. It's really, really hard to take a dragon if you don't have anybody to kind of body block those hooks, the slams, even the vile gas at the end of it all. Pretty ridiculous kind of stuff. Tassadar are going to be coming out to join the Uther, and a Vala on the back of that. So we got a Tassadar, we got ourselves an Uther. I'm curious to see if Murlocs is actually be running a melee into this. And so, speaking of a few of the melees, Kerrigan, we're not really seeing a lot of because she did get nerfed because of the rewind change. But Thrall also, he got his damage numbers very adjusted. 3 of his 6 skills, of course, did actually come out of the meat grinder a little bit weaker. And haven't really been seeing any kind of Thralls in the big professional play. So that would leave us with who else is melee these days?
Only big one I can think of is Illidan, man.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really the only big one. And Illidan supports Tassadar very well. Sorry here, Sean. I apologize. There we go. Okay. I thought I had to respond to an emergency text. Everything is okay. I think if we are going to see Illidan, it will be on the team that has the Tassadar. They still have the potential of picking up a Rhaegar if they want to do something like a warriorless Vala Illidan healer strat, which is something we've seen before. But another thing I want to see is if Evil Geniuses picks up a Jaina. That would be interesting. Jaina is a hero that we're seeing a little bit more of. I think if we're going to see a Jaina, it's probably going to be the last pick. It all depends on what Murlocs Inc. has, because they don't have any hard initiation, which is just the direct counter to her. Obviously, we're going to see what Murloc picks up. I mean, as far as hard initiation that they could possibly pick right now, there's obviously the Illidan, as we spoke about. I mean, looking at viable heroes that are picked up on a common basis. Sergeant Hammer is still on the table as well. The map is Dragonshire. So I think if we see a Sergeant Hammer out of Murlocs Inc., then we're going to see a Tyrant pick up for Evil Geniuses as their last pick.
Yeah.
We're just kind of running and gunning right here. It all depends on what they're picking up. The Muradin is being picked up here. Okay. Now, Muradin is a hero who definitely was one of those heroes who lost a lot of power and efficacy due to the fact that Rewind was taken away at level 13, and now he has to wait all the way to level 20 until he picks it up. We saw him a couple times yesterday. His results were varying in success, but he's definitely not as strong of a hero as he was prior to the patch due to that Rewind being taken away from him.
Right.
But he's still a strong frontline warrior. He still brings that consistent stun to the table as well. And right now, Evil Geniuses going with that double warrior strategy, man. It's something we haven't seen in a while, but something that Europe is really picking up on. Hello! That's an Asmodon.
Now, you said who of these teams is going to take this strat and who's going to run with it, who's going to adapt it. The double support, you got a Val on the back of that, and now you got the big CC agitator of the Muradin. That is a phenomenal lineup here for the Asmodunk. Now, Mr. Shane, emergency text. I had one just here as well. It was from the chat, and they said the Vikings were played last game ESV Tempest and Murlocs Inc. Murlocs obviously won. That's why they're here. And Evil Geniuses have a lot of StarCraft people on their team.
Come on.
They could really go for that triple soak. You put a Viking in each shrine. You take the Dragon all by. You're lonesome. But no, I don't think it's actually going to fit into this pickup because we got that double warrior. You got the Malfurion. If they do go for a hammer here, it would be absolutely phenomenal for their front line. They got the stitches and they got, they have, and the ETC, like who can you jump into this? Mirrodin. That's it. Mirrodin can jump into it.
I think hammer would actually be an excellent choice here. They do have to worry about that initiation from, okay, and there it is. Evil Geniuses obviously on the same page as well. I like that pickup. I like the draft from Evil Geniuses. I want to see if Murlocs, Syra, how are Murlocs going to play this Asmodon strat? Are they going to play it as well as Tempo Storm? Obviously, Tempo Storm is the team in North America. Murlocs Inc. has had varying levels of success, but they are, I mean, to say that they're on the same level as Tempo Storm would just be an over-exaggeration by quite a bit here. So I'm interested to see how they do it, and if Evil Geniuses, which is a very veteran team, if they're going to respond appropriately to it. And we're definitely going to see how this works out. Map is Dragonshire. I like the drafts on both ends, but I feel like I really have to give the advantage to Evil Geniuses, not only because their draft, I feel, is a little bit more orthodox, but just because these are veteran players, and I don't think they're going to get, not going to, make any foolly mistakes against the Murlocs Inc. Asmodon play.
Well, we're going to have to see what they're going to be bringing to this table. It is going to be the Sergeant Hammer in the end of it all. So, EG, with, again, a very supportive lineup. It's just like the Illidan picks. You have to have a certain combo to go with it, and I do think that they do have that combo. So, yeah, will Murlocs bounce back and forth with the Asmo? Will they have enough range damage to deal with the Hammer, with that Mirrodin, with the double support? Will they be able to outlast, or will it be the Evil Geniuses? Now, Dragonshire is a little bit different than, of course, the Cursed Hollow, which we just saw, what, 3 games in a row, I believe?
Yes.
With all the Cursed Hollow games. So this will be a little bit more of a different, change of pace. I still believe, though, you throw the hammer into the bottom lane.
I agree completely. And, yeah, I think they should go in the bottom lane. Bottom lane is still a priority. I talked a little bit about yesterday, and the laning in this game for a long time the laning configuration has been dictated by the mercenary camps. And what I mean by that is, like, if their boss goes into a certain lane, usually that lane has a little bit more priority, so that's where you start seeing, a tri-lane configuration or something along that. A couple patches ago, that bottom lane was always the go-to because you get that 6 Siege Ogre push. Not so much anymore because now it's a Bruiser camp, and the Bruiser camp is just nowhere nearly as effective and strong as it used to be. But nonetheless, it still definitely is the most important lane in the early game, as it just has the most potential of giving you just these game-winning conditions through big pushes with ogres and whatnot. But one thing to talk about is the Asmodon. We saw Tempo Storm play the Asmodon strat on Cursed Hollow, and I mentioned one of the big variables that needs to be put into play for this to work well is on a map where he can rotate between 2 lanes cleanly, effectively, and in a fast manner. And Dragonshire is definitely a map for that to be. Looks like he's going to be going mid lane here. He's going to try to soak up the creep wave with his Q, rotate down bottom, and just keep pushing it in and out. They have the 2 best wave clear heroes that Asmodon can get his hands on, and that is through the multi-shot Avala, which hasn't picked her level 1 talent yet, don't know, but either way, Avala's good at that, and through Tassadar. So this is definitely a optimal situation for the Asmodon strat to be run here. We just have to see if they're able to run it with the same execution and perfection that Team Tempo Storm has been able to. Looks like it's going to be a right-click build, Avala, though. Gentleman's Agreement. Big skirmish going down here in the mid lane. And yeah, look what they're doing, Sean. That's exactly what they're doing. Push this lane, go to bottom, push it down, build up this Spanker. I think right now, with this Asmodon strat, this is the closest thing we see to like a one-position carry hero. This is a carry Asmodon, goddammit.
Oh, wow, what a great hook on the back of that. It actually interrupts the cast time and denies out a whole bunch of damage there to Spanker. But you saw the rotation. EG is just like, well, ZP has kind of founded this strat, so we know what you're doing, and we're just going to follow you down. Mad Timmy and LZ are going to be in a world all by themselves, but my goodness.
So right now, looking at the count, Asmodon is at 8, but we're only a minute and a half to the game. I want to see how he is around the level 4 and the 4-minute mark, if he's at near about 40 or 60 stacks, because that's kind of the level that Arthalon was sitting in the past few games. Equinox has to be careful. Dimensional Shift was on cooldown, and he's going to be our first blood. Not very often to see a Tassadar being a first blood, but he unfortunately rotated a little recklessly into these bushes here down in the bottom lane and was caught in the hands of 4 Evil Genius players. So he's going to go down. Evil Genius is already with about a half level lead. They're going to get that important level 4 talent beforehand. This gives them a good window of opportunity to secure those Dragon Schreier shines. She sells down by the seashore. And
you said that right.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, the early game Dragonite isn't the most powerful thing in the world, so I don't think these teams are going to bend over backwards and, you know, go too gung-ho on these shrines.
Nah, we're going to play what I like to call the merry-go-round or the do-si-do, and just keep trading back and forth. And, the time will keep going on. Atlanta and LZ still just kind of doing it out in the top lane, just in the world on their own. But they've rotated out the Mirrodin for the Uther. Uther going to be going back and forth, just trying to heal up the team of Murlocs Inc. But, you know, again, you know, we are a little bit more on the back foot in terms of the experience. It was a lot bigger with that first kill because we didn't have a soak down for the Taster. But going back and forth, looks like that they've been able to catch up a good deal. Again, Spanker not really stacking as much as he could be in the fail hook going down into the bottom lane. Talents, though, level 5 coming out. The Melting Point, very big here in NA. Definitely more overpoint or overkill. Centric of the EU side of things. But Maelstrom Shells are advanced artillery. We're going to have to see what the 13-16 combo is going to be for the hammer. And going back and forth, there's the Echo Pedal, something that we have been seeing a lot with the ETC. That extra damage, it's not 10, it does scale. One day, Blizzard will fix tooltips, but you can find the ball on heroesfire.com. As level 6 now, here, 3.5 minutes in.
That plug, though. You know why I'm so excited about this Asmodon pickup is because I get to continue to use NBA tournament jam quotes in the middle of my play-by-play. So, and you better believe I'm going to be using them here. Is it the shoes? I don't know. We're going to see here. Equinox is going to have to put his shoes on to get out of here. He's being real aggressive, though. You're not level 13 or 16 yet, Equinox. Back up. He's going to hit the fountains, hit the showers, get back to a healthy status, and continue the push. Murlocs Inc. has definitely been doing a pretty damn good job. They faced one really hellish lane in a Malfurion Hammer +1, which has either been Tychus or Malfurion. Oh my, Vala actually getting picked off. I apologize, I completely missed that. So Vala, I believe it was in the mid lane.
I don't actually see a corpse, so I think she was mid because there's nobody mid right now. Yeah,
so that's a big deal. Mad Timmy's going to rotate up there to, as I said, it's a big deal. Mad Timmy rotated up there to make it not a big deal anymore. But Mad Timmy has got to get to that shrine. Faye's about to get her first Dragon Knight. He's going to W him there. Delay it, but right now in the bottom lane.
Oh, never mind. Bottom,
bottom lane. They were able to secure that shrine in good time to keep them off of that. And the fight continues. Experience a little bit in favor of Evil Geniuses. Clown's got to be careful. Dodge the hook.
Hold on.
He's played against enough Stitches to know better than that. I almost said Fudge.
I pick you out right there on the spot. Too.
Hey, it's a Stitches in the mid lane. Come on.
Fair enough.
And now the push bottom lane is going well for Murlocs Inc. They got some good damage done on these towers.
They're really trying to contain the hammer. Like the hammer early game damage is something that you really cannot ignore, and putting her on the back foot will delay out the little bit of extra experience that she can contribute to everything. And it really also helps out the lane longevity. Really big deal because now we got both supports here with Spanker as well. He's able to just stay in the lane. They're able to get more and more stacks on those Qs. Definitely going a little bit better than it used to. And no Dragons as of yet. We do got the 4-man roam coming down. ZP's looking not for a hook. They're just actually going to go for that shrine. But we also got Atlanta top. Atlanta and LZ. Neither of them are going to be moving off this shrine at all.
I have to say, ETC definitely has the favor in that man fight right there, especially since he has the level 7 talent Guitar Hero, increases his lifesteal, increases his damage, synergizes very well, and there we go. The Evil Geniuses, because ETC had the better man fight, he bullied Atlanta off the shrine, and that's going to enable Evil Geniuses to get this shrine, as well as having the level 10 a small period of time before Murlocs Inc. So they had a very small window of opportunity, and they jumped through that window as fast as they could, because that window almost closed down like that one door in the Star Wars movie where it just it drops down. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've got some nerds. You guys know what door I'm talking about. I don't even
that one door in Star Wars. Everybody knows.
You guys know what door I'm talking about. Anyways, moving back to Heroes of the Storm, they're going to push down the top lane with Dragon Knight, and Evil Geniuses is going to do something that Evil Geniuses does very well and does all the time, and that's just soak efficiently and continue to build up their lead.
Yeah, Mad Timmy's trying to deal with the hammer down south, but the hammer does not really have much to fear. She has the extra range, she has the napalm strike, and a first aid if things do get a little bit more hairy. Good hook on top of the dwarf. He is actually going to blow out that avatar. Gets eaten immediately. Rain of Vengeance not able to land, and Atlanta did not actually die upon the emergence of ZB, but he is actually going to be the kill. And that puts us now 3 kills nil for Evil Geniuses. Spanker's cleaned up now the mid, but Timmy's got to set himself up with a stun here on top of Idra, but Idra with those mines in the as the early warning system in top of that bush. Just sees it, no problem. Spanker comes down, gets himself some Q stacks, but that's about it. Overall, a level advantage at the end of it all.
Yep, so they're on the cusp of that level 13. They have a very systematic, Evil Genius has a very systematic approach to this game so far. They're not doing anything way aggressive, which I think is definitely the play style that we're familiar with coming from some of the names on this team. They went ahead, they got the dragon, they pushed in, they got the towers. They didn't get their eyes didn't get bigger than their stomach. They were happy with that trade, went up, got the tier 1 towers top lane as well. So now Murlocs Inc. and all of their forts are completely exposed to being pushed in. And once again, Evil Geniuses is definitely in a stride right now as they have level 13. Murlocs Inc. does not. Let's take a look at Asmodon. What are his stacks at? He has Blackpool, so that's a really big power spike for him. His stacks are at 86. That's a big ramp up because just a couple minutes ago, he was only at 30. So he's managed to get 50 stacks in just a small
one-shotting
time. Yeah,
with that
at that point, 1-shot streaks. Evil Geniuses, they are systematically pushing this bottom lane. They are playing so systematic. Absolutely love it. It's like these guys went to med school to learn how to surgically pick apart these nerds. As they got this, they went back, fell back, got the siege ogres. So let's push with these siege ogres. Got bottom fort, didn't overextend. Now they're going to make a strong play, knowing they have the advantage, pick up these siege ogres, and they're probably going to fall back after that and continue to push their advantage here, Sean.
Yeah, now the difference right now is that EG is staying as 5. They are systematically just going through these objectives. They got the towers, they got the creeps. Now they're all coming top, whereas we have now been splitting, and the splitting is actually doing really good things here for the Murlocs because they did have a really good window of safety. Of course, now Atlanta is basically going to be fed to the dogs. And yeah, 100% he's gone. He does not have the 13 rewinds, so and there's really nowhere else for him to go. And Faye, this is something. The level 13 talents on Faye on that Tychus is actually Giant Killer. That is not something we ever see on a Tychus because of those. You don't auto attack as a Tychus.
A hook onto Atlanta. A-Town going down. Peace sign sure as hell ain't going up though. Atlanta's going to get taken out with a good hook into Gorge on ZP, the frontliner, at least the other frontliner. Asmodon's kind of a frontliner. Muradin is going to get picked off there. And once again, Evil Geniuses is in a prime position to get themselves about a 9.5, 10-minute Dragon Knight. And so, yeah, the reason that Faye is going to be going with this new build is, and Clown's going to be, his shoes, unfortunately, were a little bit too clunky. Those Clown shoes, he wasn't able to get away.
Something you know a lot about.
I do. Clown Shoe Gaming. Yep. If I ever have a team, it's going to be called Clown Shoe Gaming.
Exactly, yeah. Idra's about to become the dragon. Absolutely uncontested. I mean, you're down a man. We had Uther and Kawhi Rice just wet noodle fighting into the top and nobody for the bottom. So not a good position here for the Murlocs.
But the Odin, with the change, can now use things like Syrian attacks. It obviously didn't go for Syrian attacks, but can use first aid. Obviously, that's a very strong defensive tool. At level 7, that is almost always the optimal choice for heroes that can get first aid.
Oh, so the Giant Killer will affect Odin.
Yep. Giant Killer affects the Odin right click now. If Faye goes with Bolt over Big Red Button, she can use Bolt if she feels like she's in a, gets initiated on too much. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm
thinking around.
Yeah, I know. Seeing an Odin Bolt, the first time I saw it was in a pub before I realized that they could happen. And I went straight back to like my 1.6 Counter-Strike days, dude. I was like, that's a hacker! That's not possible! What's going on here?
He's warping.
Obviously, the push carries on mid lane with the Dragon Knight. This is the last out-lane fort, out-lane bastion that Murloc things have for them. So now they are way behind on map control. Idra and Co are just being, once again, systematic. They're going from one objective to another, and they're playing real smart right now, man.
Timmy is split from the team, deciding to try to soak as much experience while they are losing out those, basically get those guaranteed losses. Just like, well, not much we can do about the top, so gonna go soak out the bottom. They need 16 for this fight. They are down that talent tier, and the 16 talents have come out. I'm a little curious as to why we have Minefield from Sergeant Hammer, because if you got Giant Killer and the range, why would you not go graduating or hover? Especially since the bullheads will not. I mean, the bullheads doesn't. The extra mines don't matter to bullhead anymore because it's only the one for the knockback. So there's like the value of that talent has gone way far down. Perhaps it was just a reflex thing from Ninja, or maybe he knows something that we don't. But either way, very curious about that. The fishing hook comes out as well. ETC has not decided yet what he wants. Okay, it's gonna be.
There he goes, imposing pressure.
And we're still looking for the 16 here for that equal footing from Murlocs, but they're losing out a lot of the match.
Yep. Bruiser Camp's going to get him just on the cusp of level 16. Evil Geniuses is pretty much playing the Stitches game. And what I mean by that is we're just going to roam around as 5 now that we know we have an advantage.
Whoa.
And we are going to push.
Double imposing.
Ooh, double imposing presence. That's obviously, that's for the Tychus and for the Hammer for sure, man. Because she's going to be going, she being Faye, the only female in this match right now, is going to be going with that build that we were talking about. That double imposing presence is actually a very effective tool at dealing with this. And Tychus' attack speed is so fast that it impacts him more than almost any other hero in the game. So well done. Good fishing hook onto Atlanta. He's not going to be going down. He's going to toss himself out of there. But the Stitches, they're playing to the Stitches game. And what I mean is they're just sitting back. They're letting the map objectives pretty much dictate the flow of the game. They're not over-committing. They're like, okay, we're just going to slowly and strategically push into your base. And in the meantime, you can't initiate into us because we have the advantage. And also, we're just going to sit back here, and if we happen to get one lucky hook, we're going to gorge him and kill him. So they're just pretty much just playing that passive game, letting ZP just go efficient every single time they're in an optimal position. And it's been playing out really well for them.
Yeah, and the thing is that when they go fishing, they, the Hammer brings the dynamite, and they just blow up anybody and everybody that they can. We've now seen some really different Hammer builds today, but well, that Oracle is definitely going to tell Idra that there are people nearby. Here comes the rest of the team to help out, though. Nice choke point here for Amash LZ, but he doesn't have it up for another 5 seconds. It was the perfect play. But, unfortunately, the time just not there. Idra will get out of it, though. 16-18. We did take out that top fort with the Knights, aka the Bruisers, and Fishing Hook is not actually going to land there on top of Equinox. 1-for-1 for the Shrines. There's not going to be a Dragon anytime soon either. Healing Ward will be down, though. And EG is going to be definitely looking for this engagement. I mean, we're down 2 heroics. Rain and Avatar are both down. I mean, it's almost like an easy game at this point.
Taking a look at Asmodon, he's up to 216 damage. The Asmodon really hasn't done that much, man. I feel like they haven't done that much. You're fighting into a double warrior composition, 2 warriors that are very self-sustainable, and have a Malfurion on back of it. Once again, ZP's is going fishing. That man has been getting himself some big fish. Mad Timmy dropping down the 3-man Divine Storm. The dunk from afar, trying to break that backboard, but that backboard is going to remain intact. LZ Gamer up here in the north. Mad Timmy is separated from his team, though. Both these teams poking and prodding, not over-committing too much. Divine Storm is now on cooldown. The only heroic that is up for Murlocs Inc. is the ever-important Archon. One thing I want to mention is LZ went mosh pit over Stage Dive. Obviously, Stage Dive is a very powerful tool in this map due to the nature of how it works. But he went with Mosh Pit anyways. We haven't seen one Mosh Pit. We have not seen one Odin. We have not seen one Tranquility. They're just playing the Stitches, man. They're hooking, they're gorging, and they're killing. They haven't used their heroics since they hit level 10, I feel like.
Achievement unlocked. Win a game without hitting R.
I know, right?
That would be a really stupid achievement, I think. But, Blizzard, they are very smart sometimes. So, if it does happen and come to pass, please do not reference the test or anything. Either way, ZPS, he's going to be coming down straight to the bottom lane, looking for this keep. In the back, it is going to be the Hammer. They got LZ on the front there, and Kawhi Rice is playing a little bit of footsies there. But it is going to be the keep. LZP is going to come on out of it. It will be a hook into a combo. We're going to be looking for it here, but some good dunks coming out of this, going to force out the first aid here from Idra. He is a little bit more on the front line. Equinox with the prescience. Well, that actually wasn't prescience with the dimensional, and he's actually going to be a little bit out of position, but a good stun will take home ETC. That will not be the Mosh. He actually did get stunned out of it during the cast, so it will be on cooldown. And 1-0. It will be just the small victory here from the Murlocs.
So yeah, they were able to get a reprisal out of that. The keep going down bottom lane, but once again, I mean, Evil Geniuses, even though finally they got punished, Murlocs Inc. were able to find a little bit of a gem in the dirt right now. And they got a kill on the ETC. I think LZ Gamer knew he was going down there just threw out a mosh pit going. I hope this works. Obviously, it didn't work out too well for him. Murlocs Inc. know that they have a good power play going for him right now. Whatever hockey team of your choice. And they're going to go ahead and try to get some map objectives. This, some map control
too big, couldn't fit through that.
I don't know about hockey. All I know is about the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are doing better, hell of a lot better than the Bucks. But let's make basketball references if we have an Asmodon. The Orlando Magic really haven't been casting their spells too well in the NBA either. And I don't know if there's a WNBA Florida team. Don't know enough about that. Moving back here to
sports ball stuff I have no idea about. So.
I know. Don't get me started about football, man.
All I know is that the Maple Leafs in hockey are just last again.
The Tampa Bay Mutinies are a soccer team.
All right, let's get back to esports.
You're right. I'm sorry. Who cares? Physical sports.
So right now with that black pool, Spanker is well over 1,000 damage. He's sitting, I think, 1,060, 1,080 on those dunks. So he's able to easily clear out a lot of these creep waves. But still, I mean, those Qs coming forward, 1,000 damage every few seconds. If you can land it in these team fights, that's absolutely huge.
I really like Evil Genius's draft, specifically speaking about the Asmodon, because, like I said, they have the two frontline warriors who are very self-sustaining. Both of them have heals in their toolset. Oh, the fishing hook, a little bit off the mark right there. Almost nailed someone. But, I mean, you have first aid on Tychus, first aid on Sergeant Hammer, backed up with the heal over times of Malfurion, that even though it does do a significant amount of damage, even with Spanker not having the most effective farm on his Q, that they have the sustain to just pretty much ignore the damage right now. It's not at a point where it's just almost one-shotting people. For it to get to that point, it just has to be a pretty strong game. So I really like the draft, and they're dealing with the Asmodon Q strat very well. You can tell that Evil Geniuses has probably been practicing against this. I don't know what other teams have been doing in the scrims, but we're going to talk about that later. Mad Timmy, he is going to get hooked, and they drop the sinker. Malfurion roots goes down, but not enough. This might be a turnaround here. There's the Mind Storm onto 2. LG Gamer trying to knock him out. The Rain of Vengeance is down, but not much follow-up from it. Archon in the background, Spanker dropping the laser on to Odin, but this might be the turnaround for Evil Geniuses. Yep, LG Gamer is going to power slide in there. He almost got the mosh pit off. Good interruption from Mad Timmy, but it's going to secure the kill on to Asmodon. Unfortunately, he does not have his MJs on right now, and Evil Geniuses with that level 20 big power spike that they have. Odin is still up. They got their eyes on this mid-keep. I don't know if they're going to go for a GG push. They're definitely looking for this mid-keep right now.
Well, Idra's definitely setting up for the big siege. The tower is now going to be really going down. And is it the Frenzy? It's not actually the Frenzy. It is the Hammer Advanced Lava Strike. So that's why, you know, we don't see that graduating. That's why we don't see the hover, because he wasn't planning to go for the Frenzy. Something we don't actually see a lot of. Hardened Shield here for the Stitches. It's a great little bit.
Good.
Yeah, 75% damage reduction on Stitches, no less. It's absolutely mind-boggling. But level 20, that was a level 20 to 19 fight. We're still looking for the 20 here. I don't know what Equinox is doing. It looks like he's actually just trying to set up for something for setting up against this Dragon Knight, but it's not going to happen. He gets CC'd out of it. And that will be now a ZP's Dragon marching down looking for the GG.
Cue that Imperial Marchman. I made one Star Wars reference. Let's go ahead and make another one. I mean, they've been playing, Evil Genius has been playing very strategically this whole entire time, but I think they might smell the blood in the water. LZ Gamer is not a shark, but he's a cow, and he can smell that blood nonetheless. And these looking for Atlanta. We don't want that A-Town to go down.
Does everyone.
The peace sign.
Mine's there.
Yep, they're looking for the initiation here, and it looks like here comes the march onto the call. The core Odin is up. And here comes the Odin. Tranquility is up. Wyrite in the thick of the Storm Shield being used. There goes the first Tranquility of the game, I feel like. Moshpit is keeping Atlanta down. He is break dancing to the song of these people. Might be going down too. Meanwhile, though, this is just distraction play from Evil Geniuses. ZP is knocking down that 4. He's taking about 7 to 8% chunks of it down every single time. Equinox throwing a shield on it, but I think that's just desperation maneuver. Resistance is futile, ending the game on a Star Trek reference. That is going to be Evil Geniuses taking this game in a very strategic manner. Very well done by them with surgical precision. They just bounced around the map. They got the advantage, and they never let go with that advantage. Very well done by them.
Pretty much. I mean, we didn't have good rotations. We didn't have really good team fights. And the drafts going back and forth. I mean, Spanker really showing off that black pool build, but you know, we talked upon it. He did have a little bit of trouble stacking up that Q to a reasonable degree, and at the same time, you know, by the end of it, the kills basically tell the story. 9-0 for Tyga, 7-0 for Idra. They weren't really able to deal with that back line. We tried to keep collapsing on top of Malfurion, but there's really very little burst. I mean, Uther started off with a stun, Mirrodin come in there as well, but invariably there was no triple burst from the Asmodon Valor Tassadar. It just wasn't timed out, so he was able to survive, and then he was able to get off the Tranquility, and everything just kind of hit the fan from there.
You had a draft from Murlocs Inc. that was all about AoE damage. They had very little single target damage, as you brought up. They had good control with Mirrodin and Uther, a lot of good CC, but the burst damage just wasn't enough against a double warrior sustain build. I mean, Stitches went with didn't go the sustain build, but nonetheless, he does have enough sustain. ETC has good sustain, and without a lot of single target damage, EG just simply outdrafted and outplayed them from the get-go.
Yep, that means that they are moving on to the finals against the winners of Tempo Storm and Actions Per Minute. And, you know, Actions Per Minute has actually beat Tempo Storm before. Did you know that?
You're right. That's the last time we casted it. That's the first time I casted him. Let me see.
Now,
Let me see her. Dreadnought.
the big star that I got to put there, the big asterisk, is that they didn't have Dreadnought.
That is true. You're right. I think it was March. Is it March-y or Marsh? Or is there an accent going on?
I've never heard anyone
not
call him March.
Marché. Omelette du fromage, Marché.
He's definitely not French, but he also there's no accent there, so you don't go that way.
Well, you're Canadian.
Yes, that's why I'm telling you. There's no accent there.
You're right. You're the. I'm sorry.
It's like Tyrande, Marsh, but we don't do that. Either way, Marsh
Semantics.
was there, Dreadnought wasn't. Tempo Storm, of course, now is basically back to full power under a new management, so to speak, with the Tempo Storm brands. They got Zoya there as well, coaching and analyzing and stuff. So,
yes. With that being said,
yep.
I believe that game is going on right now between APM and Tempo Storm. They've been in the game for 7 minutes.
Nice.
So I believe you and I are going to take a little bit of a small break while that game gets played.
Yep.
So, guys, if you want to check out that Tempo Storm game, I'm going to link
link it up in the chat. People have been
sure.
doing it. Links are allowed, of course. You know, it's not a dictatorship here. So
just no citrus social gatherings.
Yes, and on that note, we will see you hopefully for the finals. I don't know who's covering finals, but I suspect it'll be us. We will confirm with the admins. If it is otherwise, we'll come back to say goodbyes. Or no, actually, we'll cover third place. But you know, it'll be one of the two. Either way, one more set of games, and the forecourt Gucci and the non-insulting clown shoes will be back.